So let's talk about the operation of the cart. Before service, you want to put 2 to 3 inches of hot water in this thing and get it hot before you're going to put your hotel pans in to maintain temperature. It should be turned on for at least 30 minutes prior to service. So that way you get it nice and hot, and now you're going to drop hot pans with hot food into a hot well, and they're going to be covered, and then we're going to transport it to the dining room. All the rules for food service, handling, sanitation, safety totally apply to this piece of equipment at all times. It's no different than maintaining a steam table or any other piece of equipment that you're using in food service. Safety first. We want to keep the food covered so we don't contaminate the food. We want to keep the food away from the guests so the guests can't touch the cart, okay? It does get hot right up in this area here, okay? It even says right on here, caution hot, okay? So we don't want residents touching this cart. This is not, I'll repeat that again, this is not a self-service unit. This unit should only be used if you're going to have an attendant and someone's going to serve it. Once you roll this into the dining room to use, someone has to be with it the entire time. It should never be left unattended. If you have to come off the floor, then you're going to have to roll this back into the kitchen with you or away from the dining room so the residents can't touch the unit. This is very important for cross-contamination issues and safety issues. This is just like any other standard cutting board that you use in the kitchen, all right? If you're gonna put down food on here, then you gotta make sure you maintain cleanliness. So we need to make sure that we're keeping this cutting board clean during service. You can have a no-rinse sanitizer cleaner that you can use in a rag to keep this thing clean if you end up having to use it. Never, ever put raw product on this cutting board. This cutting board is for service only. So let's make sure we have a rule like that it does not get used on anything else other than servicing this cart and servicing your guests. As you're standing here, make sure you're bending your knees a little bit, spread your legs a little bit, kind of get relaxed and take the pressure off the back of your legs and the back of your back here. So a little bend, spread those legs, and then you can stand here for hours and serve if you had to and get comfortable. When you use the cart, make sure that you have both hands on the handle. You can push it. You don't want to pull it, okay? We want to push it through. So if you're not feeling comfortable pushing it and you need somebody to help you, you might have to get somebody on the front end of this thing to help you with it. But I can tell you, the casters are really easy to move. Let's talk about the plug a little bit. So if we're in the kitchen, we have this plugged in. When you go to unplug this, don't be pulling on the cord. You shouldn't do that with any piece of equipment. You should pull from the plug itself. Don't plug, no cord pulling, only plug pulling, okay? And then it's gonna get wrapped up and get stored. We talked about making sure that the valves are closed for the drains. It'll be very obvious, if you have a problem, but make sure before you fill this thing that it is closed. Now, one little pro tip I would give you on using a steam well, keep your valves open overnight. So when we drain this at night, we want to keep the valves open. We want that air to circulate up through that hose and through that valve and the entire unit dry out. If you close the valve and there's a little bit of water in there, you can get a bacteria buildup. It's sort of like wet nesting. You got water clinging and has no place to go. It can't evaporate and dry. And now you have the possibility of introducing bacteria into the drain valve or at the bottom of the hotel pan. It's important, again, keep the valves open at night. So the first thing you do when you come in the morning and you're gonna start this thing up, go plug it in, is you're going to close. So the valves will be in this position, up and down like this. You go to plug it in the morning, close the valve, plug it in, and then put your water in. At the end of the night, we go to clean it, we're gonna drain it, and leave it open overnight.